right, well, welcome to Chapter 33. We're going to talk about the circulatory system with this lesson. So the goal is to describe the factors affecting blood flow through the cardiovascular system. And the far side says, well, the Parkers are dead. You had to encourage them to take thirds, didn't you? Cute. All right, objectives are to identify the functions of the human circulatory system, also to describe the structures of the heart and explain how it pumps blood through the body, and describe 3 types of blood vessels in the circulatory system. For more than 1/3 of 1.2 million Americans who suffer a heart attack each year die. This grim evidence shows that the heart and the circulatory system, its powers are vital to life. And why is that so? So what are the functions of the human circulatory system? Quite simply, the human body contains millions of cells that are not in direct contact with the external environment. Because of this, human needs a circulatory system. The circulatory system transports oxygen, nutrients, and other substances throughout the body and removes the waste from tissues. The city's transportation system is a network of streets, highways, and subway or train lines that deliver goods to the city and remove waste from it. Similarly, the human body's major transportation system is a closed circulatory system made up of a heart, blood vessels, and blood. So our first objectives identify the functions of the circulatory system. It's a system that transports oxygen, nutrients, and other substances throughout the body and waste from tissues. Next objective, describe the structure of the heart and explain how it pumps blood through the body. Your heart is composed almost entirely of muscle. The muscles begin contracting before you are born and stop only when you die. In the walls of the heart, there are 2 thin layers of epithelial and connective tissue, right here and right here, which form a sandwich around a muscle layer called the myocardium. Powerful contractions of the myocardium pump blood through the circulatory system. An adult's heart contracts on average 72 times a minute, pumping about 70 milliliters of blood with each contraction. The heart is divided into 4 chambers. A wall called the septum, right here actually, separates the right side of the heart from the left side. Right side, left side, there we go. The septum prevents oxygen-poor and oxygen-rich blood from mixing. On each side of the septum are upper and lower chambers. Upper chambers, lower chambers. Each upper chamber, or atrium, receives blood from the body, some part of the body, and the lower chamber or ventricle pumps blood out of the body, goes around and back out again. Blood from the body enters the heart through the right atrium. Atrium right here, okay, right here, right atrium. Blood from the lungs enter the heart through the left atrium, right here. The flaps of connected tissues called valves are located between the atria, the upper atriums, and the ventricles. When blood moves from the atria into the ventricles, the valves open, right here and right here. When the ventricles contract, the valves then close, preventing blood from flowing back into the atria. The valves, let me go back to that, are also located at the exits of each ventricle right here. The system of valves keeps blood moving through the heart in one direction. The heart muscle needs a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients. A pair of blood vessels called the coronary arteries, right here and right here, which branch from the aorta, right here, all right, and run through the heart tissue, supply the blood to the heart muscle. You can see it branches out to the vesicles. Coronary arteries and vessels that branch from them are relatively narrow. So if they get blocked, heart cells run out of oxygen and they begin to die. This is what happens during a heart attack. The heart functions as 2 pumps. One pump pushes blood to the lungs, while the other pump pushes blood to the rest of the body. Okay? 2 pathways of blood through the body are called the pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. The right side of the heart pumps oxygen-poor blood, all right, from the heart to the lungs through pulmonary circulation. Here we go, right side, pumping it to the lungs, this way and that way. In the lungs, the carbon is diffused from the blood, and oxygen is then reabsorbed by the blood. The oxygen-rich blood then flows to the left side of the heart. So it comes in right into the left side right here. The left side of the heart then pumps oxygen-rich blood to the rest of the body through systemic circulation. The cells absorb much of the oxygen and load the blood with carbon dioxide. This now oxygen poor, goes this way too, blood returns to the right side of the heart, right there, for another trip to the lungs to pick up oxygen. To be an efficient pump, the heart must beat in an orderly and coordinated way. Two networks of muscle fibers coordinate the heart's pumping action, one in the atria and one in the ventricles. When a single muscle fiber in either network gets stimulated, the entire network contracts. Oh, I should have put that picture in there for you guys. So let's move on to objective 2. Describe the structure of the heart and explain how it pumps blood through the body. Powerful contractions, this is objective 2, of the myocardium pump blood through the circulatory system. Moving on to objective 3 is what I meant to say. Name 3 types of blood vessels in the circulatory system. All right. Oxygen-rich blood leaving the left ventricle passes into the aorta. The aorta is the first of the series of vessels that carry blood through the systemic circulation and then back to the heart. Blood flows through 3 types of vessels: the arteries, the capillaries, and then the veins. Arteries are large vessels that carry blood from the heart to the tissues of the body. Except for the pulmonary arteries, all arteries carry oxygen-rich blood. Arteries have thick elastic walls that help them withstand the powerful pressure produced when heart contracts and muscles pumps blood through them. There are 3 layers of tissue found in artery walls that are connective tissue, smooth tissue, and the endothelium. Connective tissue helps vessels expand under pressure and connects them to the surrounding tissue. Smooth muscle regulates the diameter of the arteries, and the endothelium lines the walls of the blood vessels. Branching out from the major arteries, you have the arterioles, okay? And then eventually these smallest blood vessels that reaches are called the capillaries. Most capillaries are so narrow that blood cells pass through them in a single file. Their extremely thin walls allow oxygen and nutrients to diffuse from blood into tissues, and carbon dioxide and other waste products to move from tissues into blood. After blood passes through the capillaries, it returns to the heart through the veins. Blood often must flow against gravity through the large veins in your arms and legs, upwards. Many veins are located near and between the skeletal muscles. When contracted, the skeletal muscles squeeze in the veins and pushing blood toward the heart. Many veins contain valves that close to ensure the blood, valves in there, does only flow in one direction, does not flow back. So when the heart contracts, it produces a wave of fluid pressure in the arteries known as blood pressure. Although blood pressure falls when the heart relaxes between beats, the system still remains under pressure due to the elasticity of the arterial walls. Without that blood pressure, blood would stop flowing through the heart. Healthcare workers, workers, measure blood pressure with a device called the sphygmomanometer, an inflatable cuff with a pump and a meter. The cuff is inflated until blood flow through the artery that runs down the arm is then blocked. So then as the pressure is then slowly released, the healthcare worker listens for a pulse with the stethoscope and records the number of the meter. The number represents the systolic pressure, the first number, the force in the arteries when the ventricles contract. When the pulse sound disappears, the second number that is recorded that represents the diastolic pressure, the force in the arteries when the ventricles relax. The typical blood pressure reading for a healthy teen or adult is below 120/80. Some sensory receptors in blood vessels detect blood pressure and send impulses to the brainstem. When blood pressure is high, the autonomous nervous system releases neurotransmitters that relax the smooth muscles in the blood vessels. When blood pressure is low, those neurotransmitters are released that causes the smooth muscles in the vessels then to contract. The kidneys also regulate blood pressure by affecting the volume of blood. Triggered by hormones produced by the heart and other organs, the kidneys remove more water from the blood and eliminate in urine when blood pressure is high, or they can conserve more water when blood pressure is low. So our objectives are to identify the function of the human circulatory system, describe the structure of the heart and explain how it pumps through the body, and then also name the 3 types of blood vessels in the circulatory system. And they all help to support our goal of describe the factors affecting the blood flow through the cardiovascular system. And there's a cute picture for you. Enjoy.